number 3 live in Los Angeles. It's the Herd, wherever you may be, however you may be listening. iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and FS1. Joy Taylor from Pittsburgh. All sorts of drama with the Steelers today from Pittsburgh. Joy Taylor, how are you?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year to you. About 4 hours from now, I'm going to watch a bowl game. You know, I have a dentist appointment after the show today. What a ridiculous day to have a dentist appointment.
That is a ridiculous day to have a dentist appointment.
But you can't cancel a dentist appointment in America because you can never get back in.
What? I always cancel dentist appointments.
You do?
Yes. Oh, who likes going to the dentist?
Not me. Especially not today.
Not today.
So I want to read, we got some breaking news. Jason Lockenfora, I'm going to read the tweet. Antonio Brown requested a trade. It says here, not a demand, but he has asked to be dealt. Very unlikely the Rooney family would capitulate. Antonio's got issues with Mike Tomlin and Big Ben. Feels like the coach is too aligned with the quarterback. So let me start with this story. Here is the number one New Year's resolution in sports going forward. That you and me and Joy, we're accountable for our mistakes. Antonio Brown threw a football at Big Ben. It was his third tantrum. Can you imagine? And that's why he didn't play this week, because he could have played. He skipped practice. He skipped meetings. He had a tantrum. He threw a football at Big Ben. If I did this with Joy after a disagreement, instead of talking, I went, gah, and I threw a paper at Joy. You know what you'd all say at home? Colin needs medication. Colin needs to grow up. This is why Antonio Brown didn't play. He had his third tantrum. New Year's resolution, Antonio. It's on you, pal. It's not Mike Tomlin's fault. It's not Big Ben's fault. It's not the Rooney family's fault. It's not the GM's fault. It's not the NFL. It's not Roger Goodell's fault. I would ground my 12-year-old son if he threw an object at my 18-year-old daughter. I would ground him. Antonio Brown is a man. He's a 30-year-old man. New Year's resolution, own your mistakes. I know that is zany. You want to blame Instagram, people are mean to you, Facebook, Twitter. Want to blame the White House, want to blame Hollywood, want to blame this organization. No. You're a 30-year-old man. You threw a football at a teammate, third tantrum, could have played physically, weren't willing to. By the way, Mike Tomlin, and I've been critical of him, Mike Tomlin has to be concerned about 70 players, 18 coaches. He's got a general manager to answer to. Mike Tomlin has media responsibilities and sometimes charity events. And he's got to worry about a 30-year-old man throwing footballs and pouting. Here's the other problem, is that football, you ever heard the saying, of course Joy has, she grew up in a football family, next man up. That didn't come from baseball or basketball. Next man up is a football term. And the reason NBA stars are coddled and treated the way they are is because they're more valuable. They don't have a saying next man up. There is no next LeBron up. There is no next Kevin Durant up. There is no next James Harden up. But in football, outside of a couple quarterbacks, next man up. We're all big guys. Go tackle somebody. Go block somebody. But the Steelers have a very basketball culture. It's very star-driven. It's very dependent on stars. And that works in the NBA because you can't replace Kevin Durant or LeBron or Steph Curry. But this is a cautionary tale. Alabama and the New England Patriots are next man-up football programs, and they're dynasties. Between Alabama and New England, they are not beholden to the star player. They're not. Between the two of them, it's a 25-year college and pro football dynasty. The system is bigger than the player, and it's always been bigger than the player in football. This story is about personal responsibility to a young man named Antonio Brown, who is 30 years old. It is completely on him, the inability to disagree with somebody without throwing stuff at them. It's on him. All right, I want to shift gears to this. Speaking of NBA, one of the things I try not to do on this show, and Joy and I try not to do on the show, we all make mistakes. You never want to make the same mistakes over and over and over. I tell my kids that all the time. You're not perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to spill stuff. You're going to do dumb stuff. You're going to get back. But try not to make the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over. Okay, the media is falling for it again. So James Harden of the Rockets is on fire. James Harden had 43 last night. Another triple-double last night. James Harden's going crazy. It's December. Oh, my God, look at this. It's unbelievable. Folks, don't fall for it. There's something in basketball called a usage rate. James Harden has the highest usage rate in the NBA by a mile. That means he has the ball in his hands constantly. So therefore, his stats are through the roof, including all of his stats, including turnovers, where he had 9 last night. And by the way, we have seen point guards with high usage rates. Westbrook had 1. Harden has it. John Wall has it. And those guards that drive to the basket in October and November and December and January and February and March, and James Harden drives to the basket and gets hammered by bigger athletes and gets knocked to the ground, and he's a smaller guy compared to a 6'8", 240 guy. And what happens? They wear down. Are we gonna be fooled by this again? Go look at your December point leaders in the last several years. Westbrook, Harden, Harden, Westbrook, Harden, Westbrook, Westbrook, Harden. You've seen Westbrook. He's out of gas by the first round. Do you remember what happened last year against Golden State? James Harden disappeared. He had one game, he was 0 for 11 on threes. Throughout the course of the series against the Golden State Warriors, do you know what he shot three-pointers? 24%. 1 year ago. Why? Why would James Harden ever shoot 0 for 11 on threes or 24% on threes? How is that possible? Did he forget how to shoot? Did his vision go bad? No. His legs were shot. He was a shot fighter. Westbrook against Utah, a shot fighter. We've seen James Harden. We've seen Westbrook. We've seen John Wall. We've seen Derrick Rose. High usage rate guards have the ball in their hand constantly, scoring leaders in December and January, and the media goes crazy, and oh my God. But the NBA has always been about late May and June. You want to know what's sustainable? Because everybody's freaking out today about James Harden's last 10 or 11 games. He's averaging 35. It's the most amazing thing. I've seen this story on and on. LeBron James' last 11 finals games. This is at the end of the year. LeBron James' last 11 games in the finals. This is what you call sustainable. 34 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists, and his field goal percentage goes up. You ever notice that LeBron's not the story of the league in December and January? Have you noticed this year LeBron's playing less and has the ball less? Have you noticed that? Because LeBron is sustainable. He's not trying to win December. He's not trying to win January. In fact, January has been LeBron's worst month in his career. Always January. We're falling for it again. And when you talk about the greatest players of all time and you talk about Michael Jordan and I say 6 for 6, is that about December? Nah, brah. It's about June. What James is doing is amazing. Seen it before. We'll see it again. High usage rate equals remarkable December, January stats. And come May and June, the Warriors will be in the finals, and James Harden and Westbrook and the usage leaders will not. We've got 8 NFL openings. We'll give you the very latest on names that are popping up around the league. Again, the breaking news today, Antonio Brown of the Pittsburgh Steelers has demanded a trade. They say demand's a little strong, but he believes Tomlin and Big Ben are too closely aligned. There are lots of teams that could use his talent. The Jets, for one, are looking for a number one wide receiver. You know, the Jets are looking for a number one wide receiver and a number one back. If they got Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, Sam Darnold, it would be, you talk about a crazy locker room.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, but they're both great players, but both Steelers kind of self-implode, and Antonio Brown wants to play elsewhere. I think it is a massive massive mistake, leaving Big Ben, that O-line, the Rooney family, that roster. Big mistake by Antonio Brown if the stories hold true. Mark Schlereth around the corner, and our 7 sports New Year's resolutions. It's the Herd.